Hey everyone, it's Janine Hubble-Cox with It's All Legal Too, and we are here today in conjunction with Sister to Sister 2.0 and Jamie Foster Brown, and we're getting ready for a candid discussion with Angela Stanton-King, who is a candidate for U.S. House of Representatives, District 5 in Georgia. So while we're waiting for Angela to join us, hope everyone is staying blessed and healthy and getting ready for this candid discussion. I want to preference this as this is just a discussion. This is not a debate. This is not going to be a confrontational discussion. This discussion with Angela Stanton-King is for informational purposes only. In order for our viewers, as well as myself, to try to get a better understanding of her platform and what she proposes to do to help her constituents in the 5th District of Georgia. So, with that being said, I'm going to welcome some of our viewers in while we're waiting for Angela. Kay Peasy joined in, Adrian Muldrow, welcome, welcome. Sir Goodwin, welcome, welcome. D Little Ryder joined in, Diva Girl 177, welcome, welcome. C Rice BK, welcome. Aisha is Life joined in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you guys are ready for this discussion with Angela. And I don't know if we're going to have time for any questions at the end. Our time is limited, and any questions will only pertain to Angela's platform. And just so that you all know right off the bat, we are not going to be discussing President Trump at all today, or Angela's support for Mr. Trump. We're going to be focusing on Angela's platform. So, with that being said, we're going to just wait for some more viewers to come in, and while we're waiting for Angela to join us. Three Treasure Delight Creations, welcome, welcome. Tell 198 joined in, welcome, welcome. All right, and our guest for today is Angela. I think she's coming in from this. Let me see. Aurora G is on as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Angela. I'm not sure which platform she's coming in on. While we're doing that, welcome, welcome. Rhythm BLE joined in. Fandom to Stardom joined in. All right, so she's not coming in from that platform, but the Will the Great joined in. All right, so again, we have 18 days until election, everyone. So I hope everyone who in your state has already begun early voting, that you guys are getting out early to cast your votes. Every vote matters this election year. We only not have a presidential election year, but we also have state and local elections that are equally as important. So I hope everybody is getting out and casting their votes. And I know that there have been, as far as early voting is concerned, long lines that have been reported in Georgia, which is the state in which Angela is running for her district, as well as Texas, where I am. In fact, we had a real issue in Fort Bend County on the first day of early voting on Tuesday, where lines took people anywhere between 3 and 5 hours to vote because there were issues with the voting system early on, and just a couple of issues that hopefully have been resolved now from what I understand. So with all that being said, please don't be deterred by long lines, and hopefully, those won't be an ongoing issue going forward, so that everybody can get out and cast their votes. But again, our guest for today is Angela Stanton-King, and she is running for U.S. House of Representatives for the 5th District of Georgia. Oh, Angela will be joining us shortly. Thank you very much. So yes, Angela's going to be joining us shortly. So while we're waiting, we're just going to welcome some more viewers. Simply Kinley joined in. Welcome, welcome. Ron 706 joined in. Welcome. DJ Marie. I don't know. And so let me just preface this only. Oh, the lines. Yes, that is. I'm sorry. Yes, it is ridiculous that, you know, I don't want to term it as being voter suppression, but, you know, sometimes, you know, you just have to wonder about these things. And I also, there were reports in Georgia on Tuesday, I'm sorry, in Virginia as well, that due to a cable line being accidentally cut, that the early voting registration system totally went down, and that was the last day to register. So again, people, stay woke, beware, and like I said, do not be deterred from voting. Your vote counts. All right, Melanated Nature Queen, welcome, welcome. It's me, Dana C, joined in. Welcome, welcome. This Godiva Vodka joined in. That sounds good. It's Friday, y'all. It's Friday. All right, Step Sevens joined in. Welcome, welcome. All right, Angela is going to be joining us shortly. And again, I have been looking forward to this discussion for quite some time. Angela and I have been trying to connect. You know, for the past few months. I know that she's been busy, basically, you know, out there, you know, trying to get her message across and campaigning and everything. So I just appreciate, you know, Angela taking this time out to join us today for this discussion, and, you know, just trying to get a better understanding. It's all about, you know, even though we may not agree on, you know, issues, and I'm talking about just people in general, everybody deserves the respect to tell their story, to get their point across, to get their message across, you know, without it be a confrontation, and especially between two Black women. So this is what this is not going to be today. So I just want to put that out there and preface that. You know, two Black women should be able to have a conversation, a respectful conversation without it going left. And this is what this, it's not going to go left. Like I said, me personally, I have been just wanting to understand Angela's platform, understand what, you know, her priorities are for her district and her constituents. And even though she is running as a Republican, you know, everybody's entitled to, you know, have their, ideas, their beliefs as far as political parties and life in general. So that's just my thought process, period. All right, so I'm just gonna welcome some more viewers. Miss Selena, hello from Michigan. Hello, hello. I'm originally from Youngstown, Ohio, so welcome, welcome, my Midwest sister. So glad you guys could join in today. Let's see, who else are we having? Karen loves accessories. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Neat Toots joined in. Miss Cat too, y'all, joined in as well. Let's see. Antoinette 002. All right, so our guest for today is now joining us. Welcome, 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 everybody. All right. Hello, my sister.
How are you this morning?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, running as usual. Got an event I got to get ready to head to in just a little bit, but I know that you had reached out to me several times, and of course, I'm always here for sister to sister, and of course you, because one of the things that we do know how to do is sit down to the table and have the conversation that's necessary to be had when it comes to pushing us forward. And I think that another reason why it was important for me to do this interview with you this morning is because we all have to understand that we need representation on both sides. You know, for people to believe that all Black people have to be Democrat, or that we have to all agree with all Democrat policies to push us forward, is insane. We need to be able to meet in the middle, find those things that we do agree on, and push those forward.
Absolutely. And that's, so before you came in, that's what I was basically telling our viewers. This discussion today is not a debate. It's not a confrontation. It's for informational purposes only. And, you know, as two Black women, we can sit down and have this discussion. And so I want to, like, you know, we have been trying to connect for a while, so I know you're busy. So I want to thank you for your time. First and foremost, Jamie Foster Brown says hello. and that she hopes after the election that she will be able to sit down and have a follow-up conversation with you.
Of course.
Thank you, thank you. So again, welcome to It's All Legal, everyone, in conjunction with Sister 2.0. So Angela, I just want to first, start out for those who don't know you. You are running for U.S. House of Representatives for Georgia 5th District, which is the seat that John Lewis previously held on the Republican ticket. So,
right.
Okay, so I just want to first, what made you decide to go into politics and run for U.S. House of Representatives on a Republican ticket?
Well, for one, what made me get into politics was I began to pay attention to the media and how much the media plays a role in misleading us. Another thing that made me want to jump into politics, because as I've been listening to politics for the last 2 years, I noticed that there's really no voice in politics for people like me. A lot of the things that are happening on the floor right now don't really benefit people like me or the people that I speak for. It's kind of usually all about, and no offense to anyone, we're just going to shoot straight from the hip here.
Yep.
But the things that are on the political floor right now are usually all about illegal immigrants, or it's all about LGBTQPIA+. I think that there needs to be a voice for people of color, right, that support, traditional things that make common sense. I think that after being a lifelong Democrat, just because I was born into a Democrat household, mama was Democrat, grandma was Democrat, not really knowing why I was Democrat.
Right.
And then now paying attention to some of these policies that have just gone a little too far. Just some of the things that I can't represent or I cannot support, especially when it comes to aborting, late-term abortion, full-term babies. I'm totally for life. I'm not against life.
Okay,
and
so
then
I don't interrupt you, but I just wanted to stop you because that was one of the questions that I was going to ask you: pro-life or anti-abortion? Because there is a difference, right?
So there is a difference. Now, I would have to say that I am anti-abortion as far as my beliefs, right?
Okay.
I would not vote for a baby to die, but I don't believe that it is my decision. What I would stand and what I would fight against is funding abortion. For me, I think that we should fund adoption, and I think that we should be focused on ways to prevent the pregnancy, right? So if we're teaching preventative measures and we don't create the life, then we don't have to worry about ending the life. So like I said, again, I'm a person that's going to shoot straight from the hip. I'm going to let you know where I stand. And as a person that, stands for life, I would always try to want to see it worked out where that child can live and still be with its mother and father. I know that things aren't going to always turn out the way that I want them to be, but if I was asked, or if I was to give advice, or if I was to have to advocate, I would advocate for the life of the child to live. Another thing for me is when it comes to this hypersexualized society that has been created. We're listening to a president last night on the debate, a presidential candidate, Joe Biden, talk about the transitioning of children as young as 8 years old. For people that have been following my story and have watched me from the bottom up and have read my book, Lives of a Real Housewife, we all know it's no secret that I have raised a child that identifies with that community, and I love him to death.
Right.
But I'm also a parent, and I know that at some point when it comes to things of a sexual nature and our children are making decisions, and they need to be mature enough to make decisions that are going to follow them for a lifetime. So I think that it's important for us to protect the minds and the innocence, right, of the young, and then also protect our rights as parents, because once these things get passed, for instance, what Mr. Biden was speaking about last night, if they force a rule in our school that says, okay, that 8-year-old can transition, then if I'm, for example, the parent of an 8-year-old, let's just say son, and he's at home and I tell him, no, son, you can't, you're a male, let's just kind of focus on your education. And then they go to school and say, well, my mom won't let me be a girl. I told her I want to be a girl. Well, then you got the government business. And then we begin to lose our rights as a parent. So for me, I think it's more about making sure that we're protecting children until they're of age to make decisions that they can't turn back from. So
So
that's
don't you think, oh, I'm sorry, just not to interrupt you, but just I want to just touch on that point. But aren't those decisions that the parent makes, I guess, at that young of an age on behalf of their child, aren't those personal decisions? I guess, how does that necessarily, and I get what you're saying as far as, you know, this society is hypersexualized. And I think that the internet and social media have played a large part in that. But as far as your district and your you know, your campaign platform.
Listen, if the parents are not wise enough to protect the children, then at some point the government has to step in and say, wait a minute, listen, we're saying our children are not old enough to drink. They're not old enough to drive. They're not old enough to have their own bank accounts in some instances. Why would we say that children are old enough to decide what they want to be when it comes to a sexual gender? I mean, we've all been kids before. Some of this stuff is common sense. At 8 years old, I wanted to be whatever I saw. If it was a bird, if it was a rock, if it was anything that was colorful,
Right.
I think they need to just protect them until they're adults. And that's just common sense. You know, they haven't fully matured. They haven't gone through puberty yet. And then not only that, when it comes to the medical treatment, so now we're giving doctors permission to basically go in and experiment on our children. They're not old enough. That's just the bottom line. And I just want to make sure, and I'm not saying, hey, take away a person's right, you know, to transition or live how they want to live when they're an adult. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying children need to stay children. And I do believe that the majority of the 5th district can agree with that. Let's just give them time to become mature enough to make the right decision.
Okay. And I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. And thank you for clarifying that point. So just real quick, just when you made a statement about that you grew up in a Democratic household and that's all you knew. So I just want to give our viewers just a little bit of history. So, and I think I shared this with you in our messages. My great grandfather was very active in the Republican Party back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, because historically, Blacks initially belonged to the Republican Party from 1860 to the 1930s because the Republican Party did support voting rights for Blacks, right? And at that time, the Democratic Party they supported white supremacy. They were not inclusive of Blacks. But as time changed, it seems, you know, of course, the parties have morphed into different things. In 2020, Republican Party and the Democratic Party aren't what they used to be a century ago. Right? So again, you know, I think that, you know, people have to make their own decisions as far as, you know, where they stand with politics.
And for me, and not to interrupt you, I'm strictly going on policy. I'm not playing a white side, a black side, a Christian side, a Jew side, a Muslim side. I'm strictly going off policy and where I stand on these policies. And not even that. Like I said, someone that had been a lifelong Democrat and had to come through breaking years of generational curses. One of those also being poverty, where we see the grandmother had a baby young and then got on assistance, and then the baby grew up and she had a baby young and then they got on assistance. I mean, I've been there. I've collected welfare checks. I've collected Section 8, been there when they come to the house with a flashlight to look all up under the bed and in the closet to make sure that the father of the children is not living there, because they'll say, hey, you know, we'll support you. We'll even pay your rent, but you can only make a certain amount of money and can live in the house. Not I experienced that, but also having to collect welfare to be able to feed my children. Like I said, I was a mother that had very small children and was a convicted felon and didn't have the education at the time. And to say, yes, you can get this amount of welfare check every month, but you can't take more than this certain amount of money. So I've seen this happen in my own. I've been a victim of it, where we kind of get complacent and we get comfortable because we're dependent on getting those government benefits every month, where sometimes we're scared to step outside of that comfort zone and begin to set ourselves free financially. And so because I ended up catching a felony and could no longer get government benefits, that safety net, right, being snatched off from up under me, actually ended up being the best thing that could ever happen, because it pushed me forward. My back was against the wall. I knew that if I continued, I knew how to do illegal stuff to make a quick buck. That was simple. But I knew that if I got caught again, I was going back to prison. I didn't have anybody to take care of my children. So now I understand how to legally make a name for myself, make money for myself. So I took what I was good at, which was writing, and started my publishing company. I want to foster entrepreneurship.
Okay, so that's good, because I don't mean to interrupt you, but again, what if everybody doesn't have the same tenacity as you did?
And so that's the thing, right? A lot of people feel that way, but we all have God-given gifts and talents. And I don't think we understand that. Like for me personally, I didn't know I was an excellent writer until I sat down and wrote my first book, right in prison.
Right.
Then, wait a minute. After writing the book and begging people to give me a publishing deal, then somebody giving it to me and snatching it from me, I said, you know what? I'm going to start my own publishing company, and I'm going to sign myself. And not only am I going to sign myself, but I'm going to give other people deals, publishing deals, and give them a chance to become authors. Okay. But I also started working with people in the community. And one girl, she knew how to sew really good. Now today she has her own boutique. Another one, she knew how to cook. Now she has her own catering business. Another one, he was excellent at painting. Now he has his own handyman service. It's just making sure that we have people in the community that are teaching us how to take what God has already given us and just turn it into a profitable business. It does not benefit us to be lifelong welfare dependents. And I think that we miss the mark when it comes to educating our communities, because I know we got about 200 people on this live right now, and I don't know how many of them, but if you were from the hood, they didn't teach us about financial literacy in school. They didn't teach us about credit.
Part of your platform, teaching people about financial. Okay, so
absolutely.
But this is the thing. So historically, blacks have been excluded from economic growth. Right. You know, we can't go to the banks and get the same loans that our white counterparts are doing. So how do you propose, if you were elected, to fix that? Or even, you know, just as a citizen for your district, you're pushing entrepreneurship. How do you open up the avenues for financial?
And listen, and I'm not trying to make this about Trump, but I have to say this, but that's what that platinum plan is all about. That $500 billion plan that everybody is giving Ice Cube all of this flack about. That is what that is about, making sure that we have access to capital. You know, so many times, and I've watched this my whole life, and I'm sure you can be a witness to it. When we go to different cities and we go to visit and we go to our neighborhoods, we never own the gas stations. We never own the beauty supply stores. We never own the nail salons. It seems like every other culture of people can create within communities everything that they need. For some, we have not done that. So making sure that we have access to capital, not only that we have access to capital, but training us and showing us how to go about getting it, right? A lot of times we just don't know how to apply for the application, right? So why don't we?
Yeah, okay, back to your point. Why not get into a position where we can have our own banks, our own credit unions, and not have to depend on any type of federal assistance, right? Period. I mean, I get what you're saying about Trump's plan, and that's all well and good. And whether or not it comes to fruition, if he's reelected, you know, that remains to be seen. But I guess my thing is that you're talking about not us as African Americans, not depending on others for our well-being, for our economic livelihood. So wouldn't that start by, you know, us as a collective?
So my thing is, that's something that I've been doing long before Trump ever came with the $5 billion plan. If anybody has just been watching me or following my story, I have free game movement every year where I bring a bunch of people together down at the Martin Luther King Center, and I show them how to start a business, how to start their business license, how to get their business accounts, how to start their business credit, how to apply for their Dun and Bradstreet numbers. This is stuff that I've been giving to our communities for a long time. So with power behind me and finance to push the way that I need to push it, then that's what I want to push for our community. This is the only way that we'll ever truly be free, sis. And you know this, whether we agree politically, whether we agree religiously, we have to be financially free and in a position where we can give our own opportunity into our own youth. And so that's I've been about throughout my numerous nonprofit organizations through American King Foundation, Don't Ask, Just Tell, Alveda King Ministries. I've had partnerships with Atlanta Public Schools. I've worked directly with Carver High School, Washington High School, not only on dropout risk prevention programs, but financial literacy. That's at the top of my list. That's what we need, and we need to begin to teach now.
So that's what my next question is. As far as your stance on the educational system, the public education system across this country is broken.
Yes.
Right? So what are your thoughts or ideas on how we can fix that?
Well, the first thing is school choice. I mean, let me just be honest. Me, right, as a parent, somebody that was raising my kids in the hood before I became financially free, I had a child that was exceptional, right, an Excel student, right, that's she's got a 4.236 GPA. This is a child that is just in the 11th grade. But imagine me bringing her up in grammar school and not being able to afford to live in the neighborhoods that offer the best education. So it had always been a challenge for me to make sure that my child was challenged in the school that she was allowed to go to based off of my income. I've been threatened before, right, with being arrested for enrolling my child in the school that I felt she deserved to have that type of level of education. But I did not live in that community. So school choice is at the top of the list. We need to be able to send our children to the best schools, and that should not be determined upon how much we make each week in our paychecks or the communities that we live in.
So you know, you're all about, you know, trying to fix the public education system.
We have to. We have to. I understand the pipeline to prison. I understand how they test our children. And if you don't have a certain test grade by the age of 3rd grade, that they've already determined that you're going to go to prison. Listen, I was just talking to Jacob York the other day about this No Child Left Behind, right? Which was something we saw pushing the last administration. I was a mother that had a child and no child left behind. He had a severe learning disability. And what I watched is my child just get pushed from one grade to the next grade to the next grade without learning what he needed to learn. And then by the time he made it to the 9th grade, he was so lost that the only thing he wanted to do was drop out because he couldn't keep up. We need to make sure that our children are not only receiving the best education, but that they're able to comprehend it and that they're able to use it. So I'm all for pushing our children forward and making sure that they have the best education.
Okay. Next, I know you are a big advocate of criminal justice reform, which is desperately needed in this country, as well as accountability for police misconduct. Big issue. So what are your thoughts on that? What is your position on those two?
So what I understand, what a lot of people don't get, is that when you talk about criminal justice reform, police reform is part of criminal justice reform. I mean, before I'm sentenced, before I'm sent to prison, before I ever stand before a judge, I have an interaction with an officer. Those interactions need to be reformed. The way that we handle things, the way that we've been doing things need to be reformed. Community policing needs to be brought back, right? I don't think I'm an old lady, but I do remember beat walking. I do remember when you would go outside and you would at least recognize the officer that was patrolling your area. I think it's very important for us to bring the community and the police together to improve relationships on both sides. It's dangerous for us to say that we want to defund the police. So guess what? I'm from the hood. I know that when Granny getting bust over the head and somebody robbing her from her pocketbook, or when little Tanisha hollering out the screen window for somebody to help her because daddy done got drunk and in there beating her mama, that all of the people telling us to defund the police are not going to be when they need to call someone. So
but I don't think, just not to interrupt, but I don't think that defunding the police, and I mean, this is just my interpretation of it. I don't think that defunding the police means, okay, let's just get rid of the policing system. I think it's just reallocating funds toward other communities.
So we don't need to take funds from one area that's lacking and put it into another area. What we need to do is come up with more funds to make sure that they have all the funds that they need to properly police our communities. And we just need to bring the community and the police together, because here's the thing, you know, police officers save way more lives than they take. You understand? Police officers are out here every single day. I'm not, you know, away from the awful things that have happened, and those people need to be held accountable, because
Right.
I believe that good and bad and everything, whether it's in our school system, department, in our church, and politics,
Right.
it's good in everything. So we definitely need to hold those that are wrong accountable, but we don't need to discount the actions of the officers that are our family, that are our brothers and sisters, our friends, that are military, that are risking their lives every day, right?
Yeah.
To protect the people in the neighborhood, that the people who are saying to fund the police, they're nowhere around. So I think that we need to make sure, again, that community policing is no longer a thing of the past. Let's begin to have those community events. People in the neighborhood can come out and meet with the police officers that are patrolling their areas. Why not have police officers going around introducing themselves? Why not have police officers patrol the areas that they live in? We need to bring people back together and not pit them towards against each other.
I agree. I mean, I have family members who are police officers, and I wholeheartedly believe that they got into that field because they definitely want to make a change, and they want to protect and serve, which is what and like you said, there are bad apples in any field that is out there. So I agree with you on that point. So is there any other point that we have not touched on that you want our viewers to know, your constituents?
And in closing, I just want to say that I'm an enemy of no one, right? I'm only an enemy of you if you are trying to harm children. That's the only time you've made an enemy with me. Other than that, I'm always willing to come and sit down to the table for us to figure out how we can work together, right?
Right.
So I have to be a Democrat to want what's best for Black America. There are reasons why I don't a Democrat. I'm sorry, that was my son.
Uh-oh. That's okay. You're good.
There are reasons why. Yeah, there are reasons why I don't agree with today's Democrat leadership.
Right.
It's not much of my brothers and sisters out here that agree with the Democrat Party. The issues that I have are within the leadership, not necessarily within the party. And I think that we're all needed. Black, white, Christian, Jew, Muslim, Democrat, Republican, right? We're all needed to bring the balance that we need to see in Congress. And I think at the end of the day, regardless of where we all stand, we know that it's very important for us to protect our children, to have a strong economy, and make sure that we're not forgetting about the ones that are in need. And I think that if we start there, then we can eliminate half of our issues by just agreeing with what we agree with and just work from there. And we'll figure out the rest along the way. But let's focus on what's important.
I agree. I mean, like I said at the beginning of our discussion, we can agree to disagree, we can agree, whatever, but at the end of the day, it's about trying to make this world a better place to live in, and this country a better place to live in. And sometimes, we have to meet in the middle to accomplish that. So, with that being,
Jamie and Aurora and everybody, I said hi. I love you guys. I can't wait to see you again soon. Thank you for taking the time to have this conversation. I'll see you guys later.
Everybody, please, 18 days left. Get out and vote. I don't care who you vote
for. Get out
for.
there and vote. Stanton-King for Congress. Like she said, she's not telling you who to vote for, but I'm telling you vote for policy. We can no longer vote for people. We get misled when we vote for people because the media is not fair, and the media portrays people in a negative light when they don't agree with what they agree with. Pay attention to policy. Let's vote for policy. Let's do what's best for our country and our children.
I appreciate
Bye.
it. Thank you. Stay safe. Thank you for your time, Angela. All right, everybody. There you have it. We had an informative discussion, without all the ancillary BS, so to speak. So I hope you guys, enjoyed our discussion. We're informed. Like I said, we don't always have to agree on everything, on, politics, religion, whatever, but again, I always think that it's important that people be allowed to, express their points of view, tell their stories, have a voice without being judged. So that was the purpose of our discussion today. I want to thank Angela. I want to thank Shayla, her assistant, for setting this up. Jamie Foster Brown, Aurora, Mike, Lee, I love you guys. Everybody, please stay safe, stay blessed. There's still a pandemic going on, everybody. So, just be mindful of that. Mask up, get out and vote, cast your absentee ballots, whatever you got to do, just do it. All right, this is Janine Hubble-Cox with It's All Legal 2 in conjunction with Jamie Foster Brown and Sister 2.0. We will see you guys soon. Take care.